Welcome to the Matrix. You chose the right pill, Neo. Sorry, I had to. Anyways, this is the Social Media Matrix. I'm CJ Halleck with Inspector Branding, and we're going to pick up where we left off with the Client Compass and move forward in the marketing strategy. If you've made it here somehow and not watched the Client Compass video, please take the time to go back and watch that. The link to the video should be above or below this video. Now, picking up where we left off with your target market, we understand one main thing. They want to buy a house. And we also talked about moving them along in their journey, but we just kind of skimmed over the specifics. That's the last 10% of your target market. This is drilling down our target market to be an actual person in your mind. But before we go naming our new imaginary friend, we need to fully understand what a target market is and what are the things to look at when defining your target market. Based on the Oxford Dictionary, a target market is a particular group of consumers at which a product or service is aimed. There are three main things that define your target market. That's demographics, psychographics, and geographics. Jumping into demographics, this is their age, gender, education level, employment, income, etc. The reason why we want to try and break this stuff down will be clear in a bit, so please just hang in there. The next thing is the psychographics. This is their personality, their beliefs, their values, lifestyle, etc. And the final thing is the geographics. This is where they work, where they're looking to buy a house, like a specific neighborhood, where they do their networking in person and or online. An important thing to remember when going through all this is everyone is not your target market, but you already know that. It just may be tricky to narrow it down. Now, I know I'm marketing to home inspectors, and it was a bit tricky for me too, and I've been using this exercise for over 10 years, so don't stress. But let's start with the questions. How old is your client? Are they married? What interests do they have? What neighborhood do they want to move into? What kind of job do they have? Do they have kids? If so, how many and how old are they? Are they religious? What kind of music do they like? What other brands do they follow? What hours are they online? Which is very important depending on when you're going to release your content. What do they wear? What are their hobbies? Do they work out? Do they follow sports? If so, what's their favorite team and who's their favorite player? This may seem like a stretch, but some of this can help you move from potential client to having an actual brand ambassador. Basically someone who won't stop talking about the importance of hiring you to do their home inspection. It also helps you relate to them in the content you put out. Now it's time to name your target market, but we're not naming a group. You're taking the answers and creating a person. Yes, like I said before, you're creating an imaginary friend. And while I say that tongue-in-cheek, I'm kind of serious. Once you create this person, the content you put out is directed to them. I first went through the concept of naming your target market with an old training from Frank Kern. If you don't know who that is, he's an amazing marketer and released this training called Core Influence. I believe originally it was a bonus for his $3,000 marketing course, Mass Control, and honestly, it was the best part of the entire training. He talked about this at what I believe was his original conference, and he named his person Bob. He described him like this. Bob is an accountant who's 38 years old. He's married with 2 kids in high school that drive him crazy. He makes $50,000 to $60,000 per year and wears polo shirts with khakis and penny loafers. While he went semi-specific, the deeper into details you can go with this, and it actually fit more than just a handful of people, the better. When you get to the point of putting out content and trying to help your target market, it's easier to understand the best way to help them when you literally say to yourself, Bob, I understand your problem and here's the solution. You know what they want and what their problems are. And now that you know who they are, you can start blending that content together, especially if there are things you can relate to them with that are not social media black holes. A social media black hole is a topic without purpose. Trash talking the next political hot topic is a black hole. It sucks your brand in even when you might be right. These posts do more damage than good. I like to say think before you post. Is it thoughtful? Is it helpful? Does it inspire? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Before we get into the platforms you should be using, I want to take a second to discuss your branded username, or BU for short. Your BU isn't necessarily the name of your business as much as it's how your business is branded digitally. This is important because it's branded only to you. Let's step away from home inspections for a second and look at the brand Coke or Coca-Cola. Their actual business name isn't Coke or Coca-Cola, it's the Coca-Cola Company. But their BU or branded username is just Coca-Cola. It's short enough that they have it on all social media platforms. They also have the .com domain, and of course they own the trademark. And with those three critical checklist items, availability of the username on social media, the .com availability, and trademark availability, a branded username is yours. Before we jump into the different social media platforms, I want to cover 5 SEO tips for social media. 1. Fake followers and likes will hurt your rankings. Please never buy likes or followers. This doesn't mean ads, it's specifically to companies and freelancers that offer packages like, for $100 I'll promise you 2,000 real USA followers. You'll find a lot of services like these on Fiverr and other outsourcing sites, and while I love those, if you don't pay attention you can end up trying out a shortcut that ruins your rankings forever. So please just don't do it. The next tip is to always have a working link in your bios. This is for every social media platform that you have a profile on. You want to make sure that it includes the HTTPS and everything. If your website is still displaying as HTTP, then you need an SSL certification. You should talk to your website people about that. And if you're not sure, please feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at Inspector Branding, and I'll help you if I can. Now, the next topic is a big one, at least for me, and that is making sure your pages and/or profiles to your business are set to public. I know this may sound elementary, but there are some fly-by-night marketers that are trying to pitch the importance of staying private because they have to follow you in order to see your content. Well, the problem is it takes away the possibility of being discovered in someone's feed or on the Explore page, so stay public. This next one is important, and that's include your keywords in the description and don't be scared to use emojis. If they search for a home inspector in your region, your social media profiles won't rank without those keywords, so don't forget it. Last but not least, stay in your lane. Keep the topics within your niche for the majority of the time. I'm not saying you can't put up a post congratulating the local high school softball team on their win, but make sure that the content isn't completely in left field. Along with the black holes I mentioned earlier, you want to remember that the more information you share about what you do and the region that you serve, the higher you will rank, and not only within this specific platform, but also on Google and other search engines. And the higher those platforms rank, the higher your website can rank. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's look at the different social media sites and which ones I'd recommend that you use. First things first, for home inspectors, Google My Business is easily one of the most important platforms you can use. With Facebook being the everyone platform, it's an easy win. Instagram, in my opinion, is as important as Facebook. Honestly, with today's tools, you can post between these two without extra work or anything once you sync your accounts. And honestly, as we move forward with the Matrix, Party Plan, and through the Content Crank, we'll be using Instagram as our main platform. LinkedIn is an amazing platform. While it's starting to visually look like Facebook as you scroll through the feed, you can still deliver great content here and get amazing engagement compared to the other social platforms. YouTube, like Google My Business, is a Google platform, which means it ranks very well on Google. And with video being consumed at an all-time high, why would you not be where people are looking? This leads me to my dark horse social media platform for home inspectors, Pinterest. Yes, I said Pinterest. There is a ton that you can do on this platform to help your potential clients and build those brand ambassadors. Outside of that, I place everything else under B-list platforms for home inspectors. Some could be very lucrative but require more time, so most of these platforms will be semi-automated, as I've pieced this strategy together to save you all as much time as possible. These are sites like Twitter, WordPress.com, which is different from the self-hosted with your own domain, Wix.com, Weebly, Tumblr, TikTok, and others. So if we look at the social media platforms within the Matrix, we have Instagram in the center and at the top because we'll be using Instagram for our base. The next two platforms are Facebook and Google My Business, which are important more so for reviews and search reasons. These are your triple threat platforms. The three platforms that require you to keep an eye on a regular basis. Of course, you want to engage reviews, both good and bad, and want to keep these platforms fresh and up to date since it's likely 80%, if not more, of your online business will come through these three platforms. Now, the key to using Instagram as your base is fairly simple. It breaks down to 5 reasons why I think every home inspector should use Instagram. 1, you can post from your computer. With Facebook's Business Suite, you can manage your Instagram account from your computer, which allows you to post directly without using a phone, which is a semi-new feature. And 2, customized automation, meaning if you use the Facebook Business Suite, you can post to both your Facebook page and Instagram at the same time. And you can customize the message or description of the post for both platforms individually before you post. 3 is automated distribution. As we dig into the Content Crank in the next class, we'll be using some awesome free tools that will help us take what we post on Instagram and deliver it as native content across the web. Meaning it will post a picture as an actual picture to, let's say, Twitter, instead of just tweeting out a link to your Instagram post. Or creating a new pin on Pinterest, writing a blog post on a WordPress.com blog with every post to Instagram with a specific hashtag. Seriously, there are a lot of automation things we'll be able to take advantage of by using Instagram. The next thing is you can manage on the fly with the Instagram app. Because of the available automation from a post on Instagram, that means once you set everything up, which we'll do in the Content Crank, most of this can be done on the fly using your phone and an Instagram app. Then there's direct messages. Having all traffic go through your Instagram account allows you to take advantage of the DM inbox and grow your followers in the process. The magic with using DMs is that it's not intrusive to send audio files or videos. When you are busy and someone asks a question, it's always easier to hit the microphone and answer the question or shoot a quick video specifically to them. It also helps build a brand because it's how you start to stand out. And it also helps build on those relationships. The last thing I wanted to cover on Instagram while we're going through this is the one link to rule them all. Okay, I know a lot of people complain about only being able to share the one link on Instagram, the link in your bio, and get mad when they can't link to specific posts. But when you reference link in bio, it actually helps increase your follower count because they have to open your profile, giving an easy option to follow before they can get to that link. But the magic is creating a landing page with a link stack. There are standalone platforms like Linktree that'll do this, and I also have one built into the Home Inspector website template. It has your logo, a very brief intro if any, and the rest is nothing but links, basically buttons the whole way down. You can link to your reviews on Google or Facebook, have a button linked to call you, a button that takes them to the front page of your website, and another for your blog with a search bar so they can look for the posts they want to read. The possibilities with this is truly endless. So with Instagram being the main social media platform and the rest laid out in the matrix, we're going to look at them as clouds in the sky that rain traffic onto your house, which is your website. Then the foundation of the house is the sales funnel and ultimately making money. But if you notice, we're not making money from our social media profiles. And this is where we transition into the party plan. This is basically a state of mind, if you will, or just a different way of looking at social media. When you look at the main social media sites we talked about earlier, you should view each of them as a party, with the exception of Google My Business. Now, before I go into explaining what that means, I just wanted to take a second to tell you why I'm excluding Google My Business in this. So the images and content that is viewed on your Google My Business page are viewed by people who are on the verge of saying yes. The only content you should be sharing here is content that helps tip the scale and gets them to schedule that home inspection. But back to the party plan. Think about going to a party, and I'm not talking about a house party in high school, like a legit adult party or a networking event. You don't want to sit in the corner and not say anything. You want to network, meet some people, and hopefully enjoy yourself and have some fun. So are you walking around talking to everyone about being a home inspector? Hi, I'm CJ, I'm a home inspector. Let me tell you what I do. Of course not. Nobody wants to hear a pitch fest. You talk about your life, your kids, similar interests, and at least try to entertain them a little bit. And if it comes up and someone has a question, then help them, but remember to make it about them. Remember when you're on these platforms that you're at a party. Keep it interesting and don't try to overthink anything. Your website and blog, as I mentioned before, is your house. And when you're at these parties, if the conversation leads to it, you may want to invite them over for a cookout. Now, what's the question you hear standing around the grill or at the dinner table? What do you do for a living? This is where you make the majority of your pitch. They're at your house, in this scenario, to learn about you. Who are you? What do you do? And all that other fun stuff. Let the different pages on your website be the rooms of your house. The content on the pages should obviously have what's needed for each specific page, but just like when you're showing someone your house, you may want to include a small story from time to time. This is where you're basically telling them, I'm a professional home inspector. I help home buyers make sure the house they want to buy is safe for their family and can make it their home. While they may not be in need of a home inspector this moment, let's think through an all too familiar scenario. You meet John at a party and invite him over to your house for a cookout. John and his wife Sally live in their dream home and will never need a home inspection again. But John and Sally both had a discussion about their experience on the way home. John tells Sally that you're a home inspector, and they get home, get comfy, and go to sleep. Some time passes and Sally's talking to a friend, and her friend tells her that she's looking for a home in the area and finally moving back home. The response is easy. John met a guy at a party and he invited us over for a cookout a few weeks ago. The food was amazing and the guy was too. He's a home inspector and I really think you should give him a call. The power of the party plan is understanding that your brand is its own personality. And on these platforms, that is what people are following, even if they aren't in the market for a home inspector. So remember to not push it in their face. Even if your brand identity and the face of your brand is just your logo, you can still, for lack of a better way to word it, make friends at social media parties. Remember the name, social media. You have to be social, be supportive, and treat them like you would a close friend or family member. The biggest piece of advice I've ever been given was from a 93-year-old former client of mine. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were at a local coffee shop and he said, if you don't love your clients like family, you'll fail. They pay your bills and if you don't appreciate them, they'll stop. It was a moment that will be etched in my memory for the rest of my life because that's when my business turned around. At that moment specifically, I just quit my last full-time job and was maybe 2 months into starting my business. I've adopted that phrase and tried to combine it into my daily engagement on social. The only difference is now it's if you don't love your followers, you'll fail. They pay your bills and if you don't appreciate them, they'll stop. And while we just went through this huge thing talking about social media is not for sales, it's the relationships that are built that transform into both new and recurring business. And that's been the Social Media Matrix and Party Plan. I hope you enjoyed it and find it useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. And I'm always available via DMs on Instagram. Just search @Inspector Branding. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next piece of training, the Content Crank. Once again, my name is CJ Halleck with Inspector Branding. Be great, stay boosted. We'll see you then.